Bum, 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 bum. I can't even do it that loud.
Are we making a music intro?
Yeah, I was trying to see like the Monday Night Football type thing. So hey, if any of you guys out there do any kind of like, was it sound effects, music intros type things, something similar to like Monday Night Football, I would love to. Dun, 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 dun. I would love to get that added. So if you guys out there know how to make any of that kind of stuff and want to make an intro for the Start Build Grow Show,
Doug,
please do.
Doug does it.
Doug does it.
Doug Uniberg. Yep.
Doug. Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
maybe
we already kind of chatted about it.
Oh,
what
no
a way
way
to start! I think we're actually live.
Yeah, we are live. We are live. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, everybody?
We got Corey asking what we got. What up, man? We got money to give away. That's what we got. We got money.
We got giveaways tonight.
Giveaways. We got 2 giveaways, man. Who likes money? Who likes books?
I don't think people really like books, but they like what they learn.
The education.
Books. They like the knowledge.
Okay, so you can take the education and then you can go make money.
Yes.
Yes. Money.
Yeah,
right?
that's what this book does.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's what this book does.
I like it.
It allows you to make money.
We got our boy Joe, man. Our boy Joe Lesher, man, out in Pennsylvania, man. He is saying, yo, sweet background. You know, you got a picture with this background, Joe. You were at the Job Nimbus Solution Summit, and that's a great segue. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. All right. First off, Job Nimbus, man. If you guys have not tried them out, you guys are in contracting. Remember, sales and project management for you contractors out there. It's simple, right? And it's all wrapped up in one. So it's the easiest way to manage your projects, contacts, tasks with detailed reporting and employee management tools. At the end of the day, Job Nimbus simplifies your work, right? What does that do for you?
Yep.
What does that do for you? Makes you more money, right?
Frees up your time.
Right.
And
frees up your time. But another thing I wanted to touch on too, though, is we are giving $100 Visa gift card away.
Yep.
Okay. So all you guys have to do is I just put it in the comments. All right. I'm going to pull this up real quick. So you guys have to like the roofing insurance page. All right.
So he told us to do it from us, but you know what? It's from our man.
It's our
Josh at the roofinginsurance.com.
Yep.
That's our other sponsor.
Yep.
So give a big shout out to roofinginsurance.com.
Yep.
As our other sponsor. He's donating a gift card tonight.
Yes, sir.
For what's the
So pretty much Josh Conner, our boy with roofinginsurance.com. All you have to do is go to the page that's linked below. Okay. It's roofing insurance page. It says literally at roofing insurance. You go like that page. What you're going to do is you can get in a raffle for a $100 Visa gift card. All right. So if you guys like money and you just posted the page right here, go like that page. It'll be the easiest money you've ever made. And then at the end of the show, Josh is going to select a winner of one of the people that like that page. So make sure you are doing that. And if you guys need any help with your roofing insurance, make sure you're taking advantage of that. All right. So it's a full service insurance agency devoted to roofers. They offer general liability insurance, commercial auto insurance, bonds, workers' compensation, tool and equipment coverage, and umbrella access liability insurance. All right. And we also have another sponsor real quick I want to go through is Boss Up Solutions. All right. Scale your business like a boss. Get an assistant, right? I mean, how much time do you guys spend on tasks that you should not be doing? Make sure you unload that to the Boss Up team, right? Don't be a little boss. I think that's what they say, right?
Yeah, boss up.
Boss up, all right? But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. But I do want to say this, and you know, if you guys are going to this, throw us in the comments because we're going to start promoting it a little bit early. IMG Expo. We actually went in New Orleans last year.
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
This year they changed it. It's IMG Elite.
IMG Elite.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys want to be elite, right, take your game to the next level. IMG Elite. It's January 22nd through the 24th. So that's a Tuesday through a Thursday in Anaheim, California. All right.
Stoked. Going back to Cali, man.
Back
I've been there
to
a lot
Cali.
this year. It's awesome.
So make sure you're checking that out, guys. All right. But nonetheless, I think it's time to do a quick intro to our guest today. Randy, take it over, man.
Man. So as you guys know, this show is all about entrepreneurship, and we scour the industry to try to find great entrepreneurs with great stories. And Greg and I, we got connected, you know, a while back at some conferences and just stayed in touch. And he is a bona fide entrepreneur, man. This guy has been in the industry. He started at age 12, I believe. So we're gonna let him talk a little bit about that. But without further ado, Mr. Greg Marthaler, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you. Glad to be a part of the show. It's been exciting, and I love entrepreneurship. I love starting and growing and building. And I think a true entrepreneur really loves the challenge of the build.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily about all the problems that come your way and the stresses. I typically find as an entrepreneur, you somewhat thrive on that. You somewhat thrive on the ability to fix a problem, solve it, move on to the next one, fix a problem, solve it, and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's all about the chase.
Right.
I love it. You love the chase. You love the game of entrepreneurship.
Right. Yeah.
There's a commercial that just came out that I really love, and it was saying that the guy that's an entrepreneur, he's like, I love building things.
Right.
And he said, what's more cooler to build than a business?
Right.
That's true, man. I love building businesses.
Yeah, it really is. And it's, the other side is typically when you first start off as an entrepreneur, you literally put everything in, right? It's I don't want to say call it gambling, but you literally put all your chips in on this one idea. Yep. And typically most entrepreneurs fail at their first few companies that they start.
Multiple.
Yeah. And I was the same way. I cut grass and did very successful, but my first business, I was 18 years old, right out of high school, talked to a buddy of mine. We're going to sell cell phones, which is huge now, but back then it wasn't quite as big. I had no clue what I was doing. What year was this? This would have been back in 1998.
98.
So that was the flip phone days, right?
Yes, that was the flip phone.
That might have been before
Motorola.
flip phone, though, right?
There was the flip phone kind of came out. Yeah. The Nokia was like definitely the main phone to have.
You got that thing in a case.
Hey, let's get a shout out. Who owned a Nokia? Let's get some emojis.
Right, yeah,
right.
Who owned a Nokia? Let's see some funny gifts too.
Right.
I want to see some gifts today in the comments. I want to laugh a little bit.
Please. Right? That'd be awesome. Yeah,
so welcome to the show. Let's carry on with the story, man. You got started entrepreneurial early,
right? And
you started with the cell phone thing. How did that go?
It was the worst thing I've ever done. I lost so much money so fast. I was, invested 10 grand and lost it in 3 months. Like it was just like, you have this idea, you think everything is going to work. Nothing works the way you thought it was going to, and you're just like, I was like, oh crap, that sucked. Right?
Well, and at the time, right, first starting out, like 10 grand is like,
that's a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of money to invest into even a small venture, and if it goes bye-bye, it's
right. Yeah, and that was, the hard thing was I literally quit my job, started my cell phone company and literally went back to the same job and asked if I could work again, because you have to go back to. I think that's the other side in entrepreneur. You're used to grinding, and you fail at something. That doesn't stop you. Like it doesn't mean that it's the end all of everything. That you just, hey, look, you recollect yourself. You go back to working hard, figure out how to build up more money, and come up with a new idea, a new adventure, a new thing that you're going to work on, and go from there.
Yeah. I got a question that maybe some people can resonate with. So in that first experience, like what was probably the biggest lesson that you learned early on that you think helped you carry on in your future entrepreneurial endeavors?
I'd probably say one of the biggest things is I think we underestimate how important sales is. I think most people focus on the systems and processes of how something should go through versus I have a theory now that basically sales should always drive all your problems. So everything that all your problems are always created from a sales perspective, and driving that way versus your operations. When it gets too big, your operations ends up gearing towards like, hey, I have to sell, I have to do this, versus if your sales is driving forward, then your operations like, hey, I have to build the operations, I have to build this development, I have to move this direction.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to make mistakes when you got sales.
Yes, right. Yes, right.
You can buy your way out of some serious mistakes when you got sales, right?
Exactly.
I think I saw something recently on like Grant Cardone said. He's like, when you're successful, you can afford to buy yourself out of mistakes, right?
Yeah, that's totally true. It's very, very, very true.
So what about the whole process? So you are up to 38 full-time employees now.
Yes, 38 full-time employees.
Yeah.
It's. I think there's some few things that I think that have helped me in the supplement industry for the roofing side of it. Being I used to own a roofing company for 8 years and sold it. I really have a deep understanding of the roofing industry and the real struggles they all struggle with.
Yeah.
And then I think with the insight of understanding, for me, it was literally the toughest position to fulfill in my company. Outside of, all-star hitters in your roofing company. But, and because of that, I me and my partner, we just got together and said, look, man, we got to build a database from scratch. We can't morph something. We literally have to build it from scratch. And we developed it. We had a team of 3 people, and we just went out selling. And we had 3 people in 2016 and now running 38 deep.
That's awesome. So what's like early on, you know, to be able to do that and build out the infrastructure? I think everybody wants to be able to hire and develop and train people. You know, what's something that we can learn about that? Like both maybe something that, you know, you struggled with early on, or something that helped you kind of get to that place where you can kind of hire and train and develop people at a faster pace to keep up with demand.
Yeah. I think some of the struggles is when you grow at that rate is finding quality work, right? Like quality employees that can perform at that task. That was one of my most difficult situations. We hired and fired quite a bit of people, had a lot of oversight. Like, you know, I think with most businesses that start is that there's always the hard work. Like, I think some people underestimate literally how much sometimes lifting and starting a new company is. And there's still always that heavy lift to get it moving and get it rolling. As soon as that gets going, I think you can bring on the other people much easier, and train them and develop them and kind of go from there. So I always think like the first year is always the hardest.
Yeah. Or in roofing, I mean, the first few years, right? Because you're wearing all the hats, you can't afford to hire people, but you kind of need people, you know, which is perfect for another plug for Boss Up. Like a lot of people trying to make that transition. It's good to have kind of a virtual assistant that can start taking things off your plate, and then eventually hire that person, invest in that admin and that person that can kind of do all the things that we're as entrepreneurs not good at, that we keep trying to do. We talked about earlier, right? We suck at a lot I but we're really good at a few. We try to do everything. And that's where we run into a lot of bottlenecks and becomes challenging. I would say that, you know, same thing with us as well is, you know, that as we've progressed as a roofing company, it started off as, okay, we're a sales company that happens to be really good at roofing. We're a sales company that we want to focus on sales process, dominate that, and be very, very good at sales. But what that morphed into is more of a training and development company, you know, because once you get all the sales, and it's like, okay, you got to figure out the infrastructure to be able to handle the sales, So then we kind of morphed into more of a training and development company, which, you know, ultimately developed into what is now the Roofing Academy. But we tested it all out and did it within our own infrastructure first, and that's been us, because we have, you know, including sales staff, I believe we are up to the same, like 40 something people. Awesome. And it's a lot. But once you have a process in place of hiring, onboarding, training, here's your process. This is what you're learning. This is your job. This is your standard procedure. This is your role. It helps out a lot.
I think some people underestimate developing so obviously I think out of the gate, sales is definitely the most important, but right after that is the process. If you're looking to grow, you need to have process. How you bring in someone. How is someone, if they don't have no clue what they're doing in roofing, how do you train them from deathly afraid of knocking on the door to being very confident on the door to knock, and talking with the insurance adjuster and getting things approved and developing that process from start to finish? And the better that you have that solidified, the quicker your team grows and the more profitable your guys become. As well as, I think the issue that I ran into in owning a roofing company was I had sales guys selling problems all day long, and then you're just a fixer, man, You're calling up and you're like, dude, what did you say? You sold, like, are you kidding me?
A mailbox? You're fixing someone's mailbox?
Yeah, you're just like, that's, you know, it's just, you know, we're roofing the house at night. Like, are you kidding? We have to bring, like, you can't do that. That's not possible, right? So those were some of the big hurdles that I think companies struggled with, is developing those systems and processes and taking the time to do it. Because I think the other thing is, you know, as the owner or up in the upper echelon, you're so busy doing everything, There's always, you know, some people like, when you stop working, well, kind of when I want to stop, like, because there's always work to do. And taking the time and dedication, like, hey, look, this is important. I need to do this now because this is going to benefit me better in the future.
Okay. So actually, I got a question. You're working with a lot of contractors, right? I mean, your team's growing, expanding. You're seeing probably so many similarities and problems and issues that people are running into, business owners are running into on the regular. What kind of problems are you seeing regularly? And, you know, what kind of solutions could you offer to the audience out there that is probably running into the same issues?
Well, giving a shout out to Job Nimbus, tons of companies don't have a CRM system, right?
Okay.
Managing your systems is huge, right?
Yep.
Knowing how to manage all your data, all your information. You know, when I sold mine, I actually didn't have one. I was getting ready to transfer into one. And, you know, most people, they just work off Excel sheets or whatever else they're using. But having a system like this, especially our company, we navigate through Xactimate.
Sure.
They're phenomenal, by the way. And
because you can customize that workflow for supplementing, right?
Yeah,
no
you
one else
customize
has
it.
that,
And you just customize it. And we navigate through a lot of different contractors that use Xactimate. And it runs smoothly. So I think that's one huge one. The other thing, I think the CEO wears all the hats, right? And you have to, I think the other thing, I think some people, when you want to grow, is learning to trust. And part of trust is the trust is going to get broken. Something's going to happen, and you're going to have to get to the point that I'm just going to buckle up and believe in this person and believe in him through the mistakes, believe in him through the failures that he has, because the reality fact is you had them yourself when you went through them.
True,
so to expect that your employee underneath you is going to run 100% the same as you without having any of the history that you've had to be successful. And then you coach that one person and you begin to duplicate yourself.
So then how do you know that it's growing pains with somebody that you kind of have to learn to trust them and grow with them versus, hey, this person isn't the right person? Like, at what point can you kind of tell that? Can you tell it in the very beginning, or is it something you have to kind of grow through?
I think there's just comes with experience. Unfortunately, you're probably going to go through a couple hardships and a couple bad hires and a couple miscalculations of someone's character or whatever. But you kind of learn, and then you get to a point where you really start kind of learning instinctively. Like once the more people you've dealt with in all facets of life, the more you learn, the more you get to understand different types of people, and you get to a place where you kind of become a better judge of character and a better kind of instinctual judge, to where you can hire people and have a little better shot just because of experience. But I think there's a lot of things you can do as far as a process goes with due diligence, a proper interview, a proper, ideal candidate. Like I define the type of person first that you need for the specific role before you start trying to hire people, and try to hire someone that matches the natural attributes and the natural characteristics that job is going to need to fulfill. And it's kind of a double win, because you not only are you filling that job, but you're also, helping give that person some fulfillment and some sense of, ownership. And they tend to kind of really buy in when they're in a position that is built around their strengths, instead of just hiring somebody just because they're a human with a pulse and you need a person and you force them into this square hole and they're round, the round peg and square hole thing. That doesn't work. So it's, I think there's a lot to that.
So you have to make sure you're putting people in the right place too, right? So you got to take some responsibility. So if things aren't working out, it could be that you're not putting in the position to succeed through not
proper just training, get rid of them. You just
onboarding, putting them in the right position, right? So making sure that you're analyzing what you're doing on their end to make sure, 100%. I do want to hit one question real quick from Corey. Okay, so I know Corey's going through a little bit of stuff here. Okay, so let's see what kind of advice we can offer him. All right. So this might not be pertaining to the subject tonight, but I just had a lead guy stab me, took a laborer, some tools, and attempted to steal a job. All right. So everybody's kind of been there in a situation where somebody puts you in a bad position or breaks your trust. Right. Thankfully, homeowner is contacting me immediately. How do you handle something like that? What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead. That's a tough one. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of us have gone through something like that. And I early on, when I first started, we went through something similar that was pretty difficult. Almost shut us down, really. It's I think you got to take every situation as its own situation, and there's no real one way to handle something like that. There's a lot of variables and different type of people, and you don't really know what that relationship was prior to this happening. But I tend to lean on the side of, if people are going to be deceitful and unethical and unscrupulous and do things like that, like they're going to get theirs eventually. Like karma, universe, the Lord, whatever you want to call it, like they will get theirs. It's not my job to be the the dictator, to be the hammer that judges.
The moral police.
Yeah, the moral police, right? That's not my job. My job
Right.
is to learn from the experience and do a better job hiring and bringing someone on next time.
Yeah.
Right. I think some of the things is something that we always did when we had huge discrepancies. That's definitely a whole nother level. But I always talked about what's fair. Right. You think I'm not doing something that's not fair, right? And I feel I'm doing something that's fair. So why don't you tell me your side of it and what happened? So question one is he trying to rebuild the relationship back up to get him back on his team, or is he severing it completely? Right. So I think there's that side of it, because obviously sometimes, a lot of roofers hire their friends, family, whatever, coworkers or whatever. So, his friend could have taken the deal. So are we trying to salvage the relationship? If that's the case, obviously I think keeping open dialogue is really huge. Making sure to take time to talk out your frustrations first before you communicate with the person, because you're going to talk to them very heated and very frustrated, versus talking from you'll still have frustration, but very calm, collective. It will change the entire tone and environment, how that conversation will go. And the other side of it is sometimes, if that's the case, it happens, right? As much as I hate to say that, it happens in the industry, and it doesn't just happen in our industry, it happens in other industries. And you're just going to have to let him go and move on, and develop a new person. And it kind of goes back to, if it goes back to that trust thing, right? I'm going to trust someone. Part of trust means that trust could get broken and I could get hurt. And I think in that, because this happened, the biggest thing you can't do is because that happened, I'm never going to put someone in that shoe. Right. You have to be able to put someone else back in that shoe and reestablish that horse. And get back on the horse and rebuild that relationship. Now, it may take you a year to recoup from that loss or that cut that goes on. And I think that's something else, I think, with hiring that I've done, that I've had, you get people, they put you in predicaments. Well, I'm just going to do this and you can't afford to lose me. I never, ever let anyone dictate whether I was going to fire someone or hire someone based upon their world. Right. I was like, if I need you like completely bad, I don't care. Like if you're not a fit for this company, I'm just going to let you go. I know that I'm going to have to go working from 80 hours a week to 120 because I got to now do your job, but I'm not going to let you sit here in this position and rule that position. I'm going to let you go. And it's a tough decision.
It's like a poison or a cancer. You can have a top producer. Right. This happens in sales all the time.
Right.
I mean, sales companies, you can have this super high producer, but they're also like very needy and expect to have all these different special deals and they want all this special treatment and all that. And it can end up being a negative, right? They're a huge producer, and we think we have to change who we are and what we're doing as a company in order to facilitate what they want. And I think we go wrong a lot of times in that case.
I agree. Attitude in my company is huge.
So culture, right?
Last week, Randy, you were out golfing. Who were you golfing with? There's something to do with roofing, right?
I'll give a shout out to Beacon. And, they sent us, Beacon sent us to Torrey Pines, and it was epic, man. It was just a really cool couple of days of golf with some really high level, really smart, really successful people in the industry, and it learned a lot. It was a great opportunity for sure.
So that is awesome. But when you're doing that, I was running the show myself with our boy Andrew Feigenbaum, right? And he just bought his company. I want to say it was back in April of this year. So what we did is we talked mostly about the startup phase, because really, I mean, he could relate to it so well. I mean, he was going through a lot of those growing pains, but now he's blown through all his goals for the year, right? Awesome. So, I mean, when I'm looking at you guys now with the size of the company, I think we should start talking about that build phase, right? So, in that build phase, somebody that, has had a great year this year, a roofing contractor, any kind of contractor really in general, right? That had a great year this year. They broke through their goals. They started up. How are they going to take to that next level, that build stage in 2019?
I would say first off, nothing tomorrow's not promised. Next year's not promised. Nothing is promised. Okay. Just because you had a great year this year, excuse me, does not mean that you're automatically gonna have a great year next year. So my mindset is always on, how do I get better? How do we get better as an organization, as individuals? What kind of systems and processes can we improve on or implement into our business to be better next year? And then you also want to be always looking for avenues to grow your company without having to completely rely on Mother Nature to pay your bills and to provide for your family.
2013.
It's to me, it's we all benefit and we all love the hailstorms and that sort of thing. But when you ask a roofer, like, oh, I'm just going to wait till the hailstorm next year.
Right.
We can't do that.
No.
We've always got to be thinking, how do we get better? How do we get to a place where if there is no hailstorm, we can still sustain?
Right.
So we got to be thinking of that mindset and then evaluate all the things you did. All the negative things, all the mistakes you made this year, all the good things you did, and take that and use that as a basis to build a plan to improve on those things for next year.
Yeah,
that's what I would do, and that's what we do.
Yeah,
our whole company is involved with our annual strategic planning. We always reflect on each year.
Yeah,
and go into the new year with all the different departments, all with an agenda and different things that they're going to be focusing on, to improve each system each year.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So, hey, guys, real quick, remember, $100 gift card on the line. So all you have to do is like that link, Roofing Insurance, at Roofing Insurance Facebook page. You will get in the raffle for a $100 Visa gift card. Literally as simple as that. Not that many people are doing it yet. So if you want to win $100, make sure you're doing that. And honestly, it's like, who doesn't want free money? Might as well. All right. But hey, also too, we have not been talking much about insurance supplements.
Yeah,
so we should
go there.
We should probably go there. So if Randy, if you kind of want to lead the way on some stuff to kind of bounce off on the roof.
Absolutely. And this is the time, guys. We want interaction. We want questions. If you have a question about supplementing or something that we're discussing, fire it away and Nick will interject in and we'll get more questions.
Awesome.
Other than that, let's start with just the process. Okay. I'm a roofer.
Okay.
And I don't have a supplement process built out yet, or I might be trying to fumble around with it. I'm trying, but I'm not really getting a whole lot of traction. I'm just kind of muddling my way through it. How do I get over the hump? How do I develop into a better supplementer? Like, how to explain the process in a way that, me as the new roofer can use that process to make more money.
Right.
Or to make the money I deserve.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing, especially supplementing, especially here in Colorado, is it's very seasonal, like what you were talking about, right? Hail hit in June, right? So what did you do from January to June, those 6 months? Did you do nothing? It typically dies, right around January, February is pretty much dead around here if you're just working insurance claims. So I think some of the issues come into where I think a lot of people try to make their office manager the person that handles their supplements. And I have always found that that's been a very difficult thing. Either they're really good at supplementing or they're good at the office manager, but they're not good at both. And so what we do, we create a system and a process so that way it's very smooth and move forward. You send us documentation. I created stages for it. So that way it's very easy for the contractor to understand what's going on. And I think for you, if you're developing if you're going to do it in-house, right, you need to have an understanding where your files are at and where they're at. And have I just given this stuff to my supplementer to work, or are they supplementing currently, or do they still have to build the Xactimate and the estimate as they move forward? And then keeping track of, the amount of the phone work now has been pretty intense with the insurance carriers. I mean, they're typically now 20 minutes to 35 minutes on hold time for some of them. Jeez. And so I think the other thing that happens a lot is the sales guys will come in and talk to the person that's supplementing claims, eat 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour. And the guy's like, dude, I have to make time. And I think that's where it gets very difficult in running supplements in-house.
Actually, we got a question from Joe right here. It's our boy Lesher. Any good books or online programs that can teach the supplementing process? A
book that I actually make most of my team read when they come in is Leveling the Playing Field by Steve Patrick.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Leveling the Playing Field by Steve Patrick.
That's awesome. That's great. That's one that I haven't read yet. So I'm going to add that to my repertoire.
Yeah, he does a great job. He actually talks more about appraisals and that kind of stuff, but he does a really good job in coaching through the whole process and covers all the points very well. I think the other thing that most people—
Who was it by again? Sorry.
Steve Patrick.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the other thing I think is if you're going to supplement, you have to be organized. There's no way. If you don't have a CRM, supplementing is going to be a nightmare for you. If you don't have a way to capture pictures, a company can definitely, right? And I think the other side is doing a professional inspection on the first visit. When you see the homeowner. So, I mean,
documentation.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have too much documentation. photos, really.
If you want to be great, and if you're sucking at selling, like if you just were to take pictures, you'd be amazed. You would rise to the 95 percentile of roofers because no one takes pictures. Like I kid you not, and I sell it, I pitch it all the time,
right.
And I'm I don't know. I work with probably 140 different roofing contractors right now. So it's very real. Like no one takes pictures. It's ludicrous.
So make sure you're taking pictures.
Yes, right.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're taking pictures.
Yeah.
What's some good tools or resources to be taking pictures with? Anything?
I mean, it's pretty. So I mean, Company Cam. I mean, he's been on here twice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Company Cam's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's been a good.
I'll send you guys. I have a scope sheet pad that I made.
Okay.
On the backside, it does like the top good pictures that I like to see to help supplement.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget like ventilation issues. So you got to take pictures of soffits. If I'm going to get you, ridge vent and extra soffit vents paid for, some of that kind of stuff.
Do you have a link for that then, or what do you got?
Send it to me and I'll
send
get
it.
it.
Yeah,
We'll add it to the document, the file.
The document vault.
The document vault.
Ooh,
there
okay.
you go.
Roofing
Nice.
cabinets.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Awesome.
So just so you know, for a little plug there, to answer that question, we have some stuff already in our system, but we are working on an in-house supplement development program within the Roofing Academy as well.
Awesome.
To where you can actually, we'll give you everything you need to build out your own supplement department or connect you with people that can do it for you. We do it ourselves, but we've built that over years, and it's its own entity at this point. So it's a little bit different situation. But I would encourage a lot of roofing contractors that outsource anything you can. I mean, especially something that's so cyclical.
Right.
It's like you don't want to have that burden, the financial burden, all year long if you're not running 1,000 files or 100, a few hundred files. It makes a lot of sense to outsource as much as you can, especially early on.
Yeah.
Because you can turn things up and down easier financially if you're outsourcing.
Yep.
So we got another question too from Michelle. So the ultimate question: OMP not warranted for minor trade jobs because they do not meet complex trade job, but meet the 3 trades of more. Always a fight. Any insight?
I think probably the biggest thing to understand is that the OMP fight is getting harder every year. It is not. We are losing ground every year in fighting the overhead and profit. The only thing I probably can say is you're going to have to learn how to do your rebuttals better and argue your position better, and well, I'm not paying for it. It's not covered. It's not complex enough. Well, what is your actual response? Have you written your response out? Like, on my side, we train 30 minutes every day on rebuttals, on how to fight, starting a ridge and, O&P and all the other things like, 2 coats of paint and what's your response? And you have to learn how to debate that, as well as the other thing, you cannot get frustrated. And it is super, super easy to get frustrated as you're going through the claim and they're denying everything. And you slowly build this frustration and animosity. And then you start throwing small jabs at the adjuster, right? It's just like quick little,
get you anywhere.
Yeah, it gets you nowhere and you feel a little better, but it gets you really nowhere. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing is going through and the practice. Steve Patrick has a couple good phrase words that I like.
Where can we get his book too, by the way?
He's literally he has an ebook.
Yeah, it's an ebook.
Yeah, it's an ebook.
And his website. I'm going to put the link out. People are wondering about that.
Yep, on his ebook, he has a group page called Leveling the Playing Field. You can go in there and ask for it.
That's right. Yeah.
And
so go ahead. Let's give us a rebuttal. That's a big one, right?
Okay.
OMP thing.
So
I'm an adjuster.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Right. Let's do this
live.
Right. This is live. This is awesome. This is gonna be fun because I don't actually supplement anymore. Right. Like, it goes back to
I haven't supplemented in years.
Right. It's like,
what am I getting myself into here? So I'm the adjuster. I'm like, no, we don't pay. It's policy. We don't pay for OMP. Like, what would that conversation look like?
All right. So I understand that. So just out of curiosity, as the insured, when the policy was written, if I'm not mistaken, your policies are typically written in the perspective of the building the home from the ground up, right? They do a full scrape, and in that policy, they typically pay for overhead and profit to build the house from the ground up.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this project, the roofing trade and us managing and facilitating that, would you not see that reasonable to have overhead and profit in that particular situation?
I mean, we're just not allowed to pay for it. You know, we're just not supposed to do it. Like it's not complex enough.
It's not complex enough. So, so we're doing the roof gutters and painting the house. So just out of curiosity, when the roof needs to get done, us being a general contractor, you're saying it's not complex. So you're saying that there's no coordination involved. Is that correct?
Oh, well, I mean, no.
No. Okay. So, right. So, am I to assume that the roof is just going to automatically get scheduled? Are we expecting the homeowner to schedule that and schedule the paint and as well as the gutters, or is there someone actually going to have to coordinate that project?
I mean, obviously there's some coordination, but that's, part of the roof.
It's part of the roof system, right? So you're saying it's part of the Xactimate line item within the system of Xactimate. Well, that's technically actually allocated for the roofers, which we actually sub out our roofing contractors to go out on the roof and manage the project. And I presume to actually get the step flashing paid for and some of these other things that you had mentioned, we're going to need pictures of those. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's being roofed. So I'm going to need to have a supervisor on job site during that process. Do you think it would not be unrealistic to warrant overhead and profit for that particular situation? Because now I'm having a supervisor be on job site to take pictures and manage that, as well as I have to supervise the project in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's most construction companies, when they're building a complex, require someone to be on job site the entire time. So if I have someone on job site the entire time, should I not be warranted overhead and profit for that?
Well, I mean, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, right. And so let me ask you this. I see your hesitation. Is it because you actually don't have permission or authority to be able to make that decision, or do I need to speak to your supervisor?
I mean, I do what I'm told. I mean, they tell us what we can and can't do. And I mean, it makes sense. I get it. Right. I mean, I've been in the construction, but I can't really. Okay.
Well, how about this? Do you happen to have your supervisor's name and number, and I can go up the chain and talk to him a little bit about this and why it's warranted?
I'm not supposed to give that out.
You're not supposed to give out your supervisor's number and move forward. So I mean, I can call back and get his number. That's okay. You're not the only one that works there. Right?
Okay. So I think you trapped him there.
Yeah. Right. So, but
that's some live action role play. I don't know if you guys ever seen.
Good job. I'm glad we're not giving up right away.
You guys have ever seen LARP? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, LARP. Yeah, right.
You guys just LARPed on the show. That was fantastic.
Live action role play. We got our swords, our foam swords upstairs.
Yeah. That's what we're actually gonna do after this. Is we're gonna all dress up and use the
I got a sweet new shield.
Okay, we actually got another question from Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, let's see who we got here. So we got, how about waste factor on additional charges for steep or high roof? That's my other struggle.
Okay, we actually had this talk today. So extra charges for steep. So a lot of times they're saying, hey, look, I'm just paying for actual on the roof. And one of our responses that I thought was really good is, when my crew's on the roof, they're actually handing that bundle of shingle on the roof on a high pitch, whether or not they use that product or not. So typically there's waste, and they have to cut that shingle on the roof on a steep pitch. So I think it's a little unrealistic to assume that we're not going to compensate someone for working and handling that product on a steep roof. Would you not agree with me? Does that, right? And so, and I think Steve Patrick, he uses a couple good words: unrealistic, reasonable, are two really good words. I feel that are really good, because you bait them in and you talk to them in that kind of, you kind of pin them into a question back to them.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully the adjuster, the other side is watching this.
Yeah. Right. They probably are. Right. Yeah. No, in all honesty, guys, we did just put the ebook in there, the link to that ebook in the comments. If you guys are interested in the level of the playing field by Steve Patrick, check that out. And he also does have a group, it looks like. So it's level of the playing field. The group, you can check that out as well.
Get him on the show.
Yeah, right. It sounds like it. So we might be contacting Steve Patrick, it sounds like. But awesome questions, Michelle. Also, too, Janice is on here. What's up, Janice? She says, "Hello, I'll hang up and keep calling to the next adjuster."
Right. That is actually a strategy. So
just keep grinding, right?
The other thing I think some people forget is, if you're butting heads with an adjuster, like State Farm, so it's just a pool of people you call consistently, just hang up the phone, wait and call someone else, right? Like it's, like it's for real. Now on our side, we actually will transfer a file. So if one person's having a real big fight with someone else, we'll just the point of transferring from one person to another person can really alter the claim process.
Yeah. But I think the point that everyone really needs to understand is when it comes to supplementing, all we're doing is trying to reach a reasonable,
right,
scope.
Yes.
Right. We're just trying to come to a reasonable scope to rebuild that roof in like in kind to the way it was before before the damage happened. Right. So the idea is you just have to be able to articulate and illustrate that in a way that keeps the other person's dignity.
Yes. Right.
While also just making sense.
Yes.
Right. The conversation that you're going to have is a, a business to business, like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. This is, a logical way of doing things. This isn't, I'm not asking you for this because I want more money, because I want to go buy a Corvette.
Right.
It's because this is exactly how we do things and how it's supposed to be done. Yeah. And all we're asking for is a reasonable scope to be able to complete the loss that you've already approved.
Right. Yeah. And we always use chucking the truck. I'm not chucking the truck. Chucking the truck probably can do this roof. I actually have an operation. I have a facility. Yeah. I have an office manager. I have production guy. I have audits that have to take place. I have general liability, workers' comp that have to warranty the product. All that is warranted for overhead and profit. And that's what it's for. It's not for, job specific stuff. It's for company specific items.
Absolutely. And all of us as roofers, we have overhead. We have that 20% overhead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And especially the bigger you get, when we have a full service department and quality control and people running materials all day long. And there's a lot of coordination. Our production department has 5 people.
Right. Yes.
5 people in one production department to produce the roofs that we produce, and it's still not enough.
Right. Yeah.
How am I supposed to pay to grow that and pay for that when the insurance companies come, saying, nope, you got to do it for the margin that the roofer's supposed to get.
Right.
That doesn't work. So you just got to present it in a reasonable way and just be persistent and not let them kind of run over you.
Yeah. And that's where it's just, you got to practice it. Right. And I think that's where, write it out. Write out your thought process and where you're going with your conversations and how you're directing it. And when I get shut down for this, what's my next response back to it? That's actually how you get better.
So, yeah, absolutely. So the practice and keep doing it. But let's take that to another level. I mean, not all claims can be settled. Right. That's correct. You got to get to a point where you got to kind of know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Right.
How do you know that?
So how do you know that? And then what's the next steps? If there's something you truly believe in,
right.
Obviously a lot of us know this, but let's kind of dumb it down so we can get a better understanding of the appraisal process and litigation and that sort of thing. Because, if you really have ground and you really have something that's very viable, and you really believe that it needs to be paid for X, Y, and Z, you have rights and you have other alternatives if you can't get that result.
I agree. And we don't win every fight, right? And that's not, and if anyone's out there telling you they're lying, right? They're just, it's not, unless you're a lawyer.
It's not reasonable.
Yeah, it's not reasonable, right? Where we kind of end up the fight is when we get done talking to management, is typically our last fight at that. Because when you try to go to manager up to another level of management, you got to have some really good teeth in what you're trying to ask for. And that's where definitely, moving to appraisal and or PA, there's 2 roads that you can take. I highly recommend moving the appraisal route. It's much smoother, quicker, I feel.
So I'm a new roofer. I've never done an appraisal. What do I got to do appraisal?
Right. The biggest thing is you're going to need to communicate with a homeowner and talk to them. They typically hire the actual appraiser on staff, and they will end up writing a letter to the insurance company saying that they request for appraisal. Now there's a lot of, we'll just talk about them as they come up. So you write the letter, they have the option of selecting an appraiser. Now, plus side.
So the insurance company?
Right. So let's say the homeowner. Yeah. So the homeowner writes a letter to the insurance company. I invoked my right for appraisal, right? There's tons of letters and forms about it. Steve Patrick has one in his book. And then the next phase is they will initiate, the insurance company will elect an appraiser, and then the homeowner gets to pick one. Now, a lot of people are like, what does it take to be an appraiser? Anyone can be an appraiser. Like you could be, I could be, Nick could be.
Just a neutral.
Yeah, just a neutral party. They can't have any vested interest in the job, and they can be appraisal. Obviously, you're going to typically want them well versed in what you're fighting for. And then after that, the insurance company is going to put out a list of umpires to select from. You're going to select from the umpire, and then after that, everyone's going to go meet at the property, inspect the property, and debate from argue and debate from there. And pretty much any two of those three people come to agreement, and that's what the settlement will be on the claim. And it tends to go a little bit quicker than the appraisal process. Appraisal process is pretty much a homeowner hires an appraiser, and then appraiser takes over the claim and communicates directly with the insurance carrier back and forth. It just typically.
You're talking about a PA process?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a little confused there. So the PA process, hire a public adjuster. The homeowner has to do that, and then they kind of take over and go from there. And it kind of eliminates the adjuster out of the pool, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. So what about litigation? I mean, now there's a lot of attorneys, and I guess we have one coming on in a couple.
When we have some people on, I do want to. Then we'll dive into this. Just give away that gift card real quick.
Let's do it.
All right, and then we'll dive into that. So make sure you have that question at the tip of your tongue, because I know we have people in touch on that. But I was just talking to Josh. Remember, it's at Roofing Insurance, right? Or it's roofinginsurance.com. And we went through the people that liked his page, and we have a winner. So it's going to be Robert W. Cockerell. So I'll be tagging you in the comments. Make sure you're getting in touch with Josh Cotner. I'll take both you guys in the same comment, but you're getting a free $100 Visa gift card. And what did he have to do? He had to like a Facebook page. So that's easiest money you could get right there. But hey, you guys take over though. Back to the question, right?
Okay, fire away. So now it's a whole nother level. Legal. This is becoming a thing in our industry where and there's a lot of legal attorneys and companies now that are kind of building models around facilitating this sort of thing. Right.
Yeah. So typically this happened after the PA. There's not agreement according to what the PA, and they don't come to agreement terms. And then you hire a lawyer, and typically most people don't go on this route because it takes a while. Typically you see it probably take anywhere between a year to a year and a half. It's typically what most cases take to go to court and litigation.
A lot of times we find, because we'll go to litigation if we really feel it's something that we feel strongly about. And I think you can get it done sooner than that, but you got to also be, have all your ducks in a row and do the process. So we have managed to be able to get it done sooner. Now you can private DM me. We're not going to go public with all this stuff, but if you guys want to have a deeper conversation about that, I got some, we got some colleagues that we work with that we can get you connected with to help you with that sort of thing as well. We both do.
Yeah. So I think another thing that comes up a little bit just with the appraisal process, I've been hearing or seeing on Facebook that the insurance company is denying the right for appraisal. I don't know if you've seen that or whatever, but both parties have to agree to appraisal in some of the insurance policy that's taken place. So if that particularly happens, then you're going to either have to go directly to a PA and or a lawyer, depending on the particular situation on what that develops.
Gotcha. So I think the lesson here is for homeowners, be very careful when you're signing a policy. Yeah. Just because it's cheaper or it's going to save you $300 or something like that, be very careful. What you're looking for is ACV only, stuff like that with non-recoverable depreciation, PWI type stuff that in the fine print. I think now there's some other terms that I'm just learning nowadays.
The RP, what is it? The repayment program.
Yeah, we're just dealing with that a lot now. Allstate, right?
Yeah, Allstate when they have.
So be careful with that stuff. If you're signing a policy and it looks, it's cheaper, and you're signing it just because it's cheaper, that doesn't mean you're in that great a shape when it comes to actually having a hail claim. And for roofers, for salesmen out there, look at this stuff. What are some things that we can do? If we're looking at some paperwork, how do we determine if it's a ACV only or if there's something that's going to give us kind of a red flag when it comes to doing the supplement side?
So we got another question too. Okay. We got another question from Janice. Janice, what's up? So we have what you say? How are you broaching appraisal litigation with the homeowner RPS policy?
Yep, there it is. The RPS. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah, the RPS.
Oh yeah.
So RPS is obviously something the homeowner paid for. So there's no way out of it. It's I don't think it's a really good program at all for the homeowner. Obviously, I think it probably lowers the payment tremendously. I think
finance the difference.
Yep. And that's really what it is. And finish answering the last question is I think full roof replacement as well as code coverage are the two major things that you need to see in your policy when you're purchasing a homeowner's policy. Is that it's RCB, as well as you need to look at your deductible. Are you in a percentage or are you in a dollar amount? Because you're starting to see a lot of 2%, 3% deductible on $400,000 house out here. That's some serious chunk change, and versus a $1,000, $2,000 deductible.
Yeah, and then what happens is that your valuation can go up, and maybe you don't pay attention to the paperwork they send you each year or whatever. Then all of a sudden, you buy a house at $300,000-400,000, and then 5 years in a row, it's you haven't paid attention to the policy, and all of a sudden the value's gone up.
Yes.
To where now that what you thought was a $3,000 deductible is now a $6,000 deductible,
right.
and you're like, oh no, now I'm paying for half the roof or a third of the roof or whatever.
Right.
So I think really, Janice, to answer that question is have financing in place. In every company out there should have. There's a number of different companies out there. We're not here to pitch that right now, but have financing in place to where you can offer that to the homeowners. There's a lot of options for no interest and that sort of thing. But if you're a homeowner, you got to think about that. If you're going to have to finance part of your roof, is it really worth saving the couple $100 you're saving up front when you're going to incur another payment?
Especially in a high hail damage
kind of weigh those
zones, right? I mean, you're in Denver or Dallas.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always like a must.
So just understand what you're getting when you're purchasing.
Something else for Janice that I know that helps when you're communicating with the homeowner and helping them to persuade them why they should go fight harder. One would be if you collect, obviously you've done enough roofs, and you can bring some insurance paperwork and black out all the other stuff and say, hey, look, this is what other carriers are paying for, and this is what your carrier is paying for. So when we begin to look at the difference, I'm not some crazy crook out here trying to ask for the world. This is what other insurance companies are paying for. So let's go by line item and look at the lines and things that are being paid for. And then that begins to get the homeowner in trusting you more, right? Because versus if it's just their insurance paperwork, they don't see their neighbors. They don't, no one shares this information with anyone else. And I probably wouldn't either. Right. But when you're able to black it out, you can help push that if you need help pushing it farther in the appraisal process.
Cool. Well, it's about that time.
Hey, guys,
let's go through maybe one or two more. Yeah, one more question. And then we need to give away the book.
Oh, that's right. How we were giving away the book again?
Best question.
Best question.
Ooh, you're the one on the.
I'm gonna pick best questions.
I'll let you take the best question.
I just sit here and ask the questions. I provide no value, but I'm the one that decides what's the best question. You see how that works?
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you're the one in front of the screen.
I'm gonna have to give it. You know what?
Questions.
Michelle had 2 questions actually, and she had great questions, a lot of engagement throughout. So I'm actually gonna have to give it to Michelle. Thank you so much for all your questions, stuff like that. So we'll make sure that we're connecting with you, that you're connected with Randy, and we'll make sure that we send out this book to you. Thank you so much for the engagement. Really appreciate it. At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. So congrats, Michelle. Go ahead and shoot me a DM and we will connect and get this sent out to you.
Yeah. And then lastly, we will not be live next week, Wednesday. Thursday's Thanksgiving. We got more important things to be doing, right? Hanging out with the family and stuff like that. So we'll be shutting it down. But then on the 28th, we do have Hail Trace coming on. So if you guys you're using Hail Trace or you guys know Hail Trace, they'll be coming on the 28th, followed by IMG and Pride Public Adjusters that following Wednesday on the 5th. So we got a great lineup. Super excited about that. But let's kind of end it with here, because I actually have some questions for you guys. Okay. So we've been talking a lot about how to have a successful 2019, right? And this can just be business in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be contractor, right? Anybody who's a business owner. Okay. What we do is we tend to think about January 1. But the thing is, we still have a decent percent of the year left. We have 45 days, right? Maybe a little bit more. What do you do in these 45 days to make sure that you are successful in 2019 and building a foundation to be successful in 2019? What are you doing?
First off, I'm invoicing the crap out of everybody and everyone. Every roofer out there. Okay. I know I was speaking earlier to 2 times live in one day. It's a lot, but what we were going to do on the conference call is talk about that, is invoicing and get those invoices done. Like a lot of people sold a lot of roofs, have a lot of production done, but they don't have a great process to invoice and close those jobs. And it correlates directly with supplementing. Get your supplementing, get your invoicing done. Like make that a priority. Don't let it lapse. Don't let days go by when a job is ready to bill. bill that job the day it's ready, within 24 hours of it being ready. Collect your money. Collect that money because you're going to need it next year.
Yes.
You're going to need that money to reinvest in people, reinvest in your company, buy some equipment, buy a building, do what you can, but collect that money. Don't let it linger and reinvest back into your company to make next year that much better.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they just stop selling. Like, honestly, I think they stop. They kind of get, especially right after Thanksgiving, I think they pull on the e-brake. They just hit the cruise control and just coast. And that's literally, you have a solid month or actually 6 weeks of still that you could sell and do very, very well, and still hit it out of the park. I know that's what we do on our side, and I'm grinding, I'm talking constantly to my sales team and my business developers. What are they doing? What they're working on it? What they're pushing, and constantly pushing the team forward. I think some things, some people do some spiffs and that kind of stuff to help motivate the sales team.
If your sales team's tired, hire a couple new people.
Right. Yes, that's another great idea.
So think about this. Everybody is tired. We had a lot of couple years the summertime, everybody's busy. All the sales people are tired. We're tired. Yeah. We all want a break. But think about this. During the heat of it, you're competing with how many hundreds of people out there knocking doors, trying to get the same business. But when everyone's tired, that's when you strike.
Right.
There's a secret, a Facebook Live secret. Do stuff that other people don't do. So everybody's trying to pull away, and everybody's trying to figure out how to cruise through the winter and relax and take time off. Go all in, double down. That's the prime time to be able to get more work and get through that first quarter, which is always challenging to get to next season, especially in Colorado or any sort of place that it gets cold in the wintertime.
Right.
Yep. Well, Janice actually added on to that. Janice, thank you so much. She says you need to show good numbers to close out the year, not just for the company goals, but for financing if you need it in the following year.
Yeah. Great.
Don't forget about the bottom line.
Right.
It's important.
Guys, this was episode 36 of the Start Build Grow Show. Thank you so much for the engagement. It's all about the questions. If you guys have any topics at all that you want to talk about, or any guests that you think would be great for the show, hit us up, send us a message. That'd be great. And we'll definitely take that and we'll run with it. We'll make sure that it happens. Also, thank you guys for our sponsorships. Job Nimbus, you guys are awesome. The conference was great. Your product is great. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for those out there in the industry. Boss Up Solutions, thank you guys so much. You guys are taking those jobs, they're eating up the time, and you're giving it back to the business owners. Josh Cotner, man, you are one of the best in terms of engaging, bringing great people on the show, asking great questions, getting people involved, and you're also damn good at insurance. So roofinginsurance.com, make sure you guys are checking that out. He will take care of you. And it doesn't matter what industry you are, right? Any contractor, he will help you guys out and he'll do a damn good job. So thank you guys so much for all your engagement. And we will be back.
What about the podcast?
Oh, that's the pow, man. You're gonna yell at me for that. I thought you had such a good close, and I just messed it all up. Damn it! All right, well, all right, guys. We have all these episodes, the Facebook Live episodes. The reason why we put some money into the equipment for the audio was we do have them uploaded on iTunes and Spotify right now. So the Start Build Grow Show on iTunes, on Spotify, all the old episodes are on there as well. So make sure you guys are checking that out. And our boy Claudio, he put a comment. So I'm just gonna at least bring it up real quick, all right? Because Claudio, you had some awesome videos online that he's been making with his Win Consulting. He was also on an episode about 2 weeks ago. It's a great time of year to focus on GCs and builders because they're slowing down and are more open to meetings. If you support the market, this is a great time to start adding relationships to pay off in 2019. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the engagement. Like I said, have a great Thanksgiving. If you guys are a Detroit Lions fan and a Cowboys fan, I guess watch your team lose.
You would go. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, man. Really